Hello, fabulous Leo. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of May 2015, Love Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Where it comes to love, I want to put into context what's happening this month as part of a larger picture for this year, and to remind you of some of the things I mentioned in the 2015 video for this year as well in the context of love, the love-focused video. That is the fact that next month we are going to have Venus in your sign, entering shadow, retrograding over the summer in your sign, and going direct, remaining in shadow right into the fall in your sign. Venus will spend an unusually long time in your sign, and that will bring love lessons, happenings, developments very much to the forefront, very much to your attention. And so considering that you're coming up to some really important learning where it comes to love, I almost want to say to you, take a breather if you can. If you can this month, take a breather because you will be glad for it. Once we get you into next month, the energy is going to shift. What is happening this month that is important is that the energy becomes quieter and goes a little bit more internal, becomes a little bit more private as well. And this month, what we also have taking place is the possibility of some things happening very much behind the scenes as well that might come back sort of to be resolved or for further learning once we get you into next month. So when I look at this, again, I gotta say, take a breather if you can. For some of you out there, I do think that the chance of having some sort of flirtation in the workspace seems to be happening. It looks like it's behind the scenes. There might be some uncertainty. Did that person flirt with me? Didn't they? There might be an element playing out here that has to do with secrecy. Okay. Now, of course, always do what feels right to you, what feels comfortable with you. Don't do what doesn't feel right, what doesn't feel comfortable to you. But I share this with you because, again, as I said, things are going to be coming up for you. Learning is going to be coming up for you once we get you into next month that you're going to be returning to again and again. And I almost feel like there might be some Leos out there, a small percentage, but there might be some Leos out there who might find themselves in a dynamic in the workplace this month that they may not be too thrilled about in the bigger picture. That might not reap the best results in the bigger picture as well. And there is this element right now this month playing out where you might not be seeing very clearly in the context of love the consequences, the larger consequences of the decisions that you're making and the actions that you're taking. And so just be mindful of that, where that situation applies. And of course, do what feels right to you because you ultimately know where your learning is. Those of you in an established bond, what I want to say is first and foremost, one lesson I think that a lot of people go through when they're in an established bond, especially if it's a committed bond, a monogamous bond, is that ultimately you don't want to do anything that you wouldn't want your partner to do, because that's the thing with people that we're committed to. Karma is always active, and there are times when karma really is very active, and that's really the thing. When Venus goes retrograde in your sign, I mean, that is love karma coming back to you. And so be mindful of that. Where it comes to your own behavior, don't do anything that you wouldn't want your partner knowing about and that you wouldn't want your partner doing as well in relation to you. But I do think that some things are going to be coming up for you sort of energetically in the dream space. That's all very innocent. There might be some fears, some desires that might be coming up for you as well. And you're going to have to look at that and see what that means for you. You may not necessarily be seeing, if you find yourself attracted to another person, you may not necessarily be seeing that person or that situation very clearly right now. So also keep that in mind as well. Also with this month, where it comes to your relationship, I do think that there's very likely to be sort of a moment that comes to light. And so what you want ultimately is this energy, and especially late in the month, when this energy, when this moment comes to light, if you will, you want it to be the kind of light that really does enlighten, that feels healing, that feels open, that feels like, okay, yes, I understand what we have here. I understand how you're facilitating and how this bond is facilitating my growth and my evolution. Those are the types of awarenesses and things coming to light that feel better than other types of awarenesses. And so ultimately, you decide how that is going to manifest for you. And you can decide to raise this energy so that it is about things coming to light that are honest and from the heart and that feel as if it's an honest exchange as well. Those of you who are dating somebody kind of in your sphere, I do think that there's likely to be some questions right now that arise. Nothing too big, but I think you're going to find yourself drawn to different types and wondering why you've made the choices you have. There might be a moment, to be very honest with you, if you're just getting to know somebody where the person feels a little bit overbearing or might do something that makes you go, okay, wow, I didn't know you had that jealous streak. They may have a moment there, especially later in the month. And that may make you reevaluate things a little bit, or at least raise some questions. You will return to them. As I said, take a breather if you can. If you have that option, take it easy, because the learning is going to accelerate as we move you into next month. But you might have that little bit of moment, and that will be a little bit of insight into what's coming up a little bit further down the road. Those of you those of you who are single, open to meeting somebody new, this is a time when really cultivate that privilege of being sort of having that space, because you are going to have such important learning in the context of love coming up for you. It's going to take such of a focus for you starting next month, that if you can spend this time sort of focusing on the things that I talk about in the general focused horoscope, you'll be glad for it. You'll be very glad for it. And I see that temptation of getting into some type of secret dynamic or relationship with somebody who ultimately might not be the best for you or might not be the best situation for you. That seems to be there. That tendency seems to be there. At the very least, there'll be an attraction, but it's going to be up to you to decide how far it is that you are comfortable continuing with it. It's almost like I have this feeling that for some people out there, you might get into a little bit of a flirtation that for you is quite innocent, but for the other person might not be. And then you could end up sort of finding yourself saying, okay, maybe it's not. Maybe this could be something more. And sort of weaving a tale, if you will, rather than staying grounded. And that's really what you want to strive to do now, is to stay grounded, because the learning is going to be there regardless. Regardless if you walk with this person, if it feels right to you, you do what you need to do. But regardless if it's this situation or another, the learning is going to be there. And so that learning is going to kick in for you next month as well. And so if you need to, and if it feels right to you, I would say take a little bit of a break. Focus on you, and things will sort of fall into place as they need to in the other respects where it comes to love, especially in the fullness, given all the things that are coming up this year. What I love about this month for you is this whole idea, one of the universal truths is tides come in, tides go out. Well, the tides are about to come in a big way. I do believe that for most Leos out there, there's going to be some very important contemplation, healing, growing in the context of relationship, in the context of love, and knowing who you are in the context of love. You've already got a little bit of a glimpse of it because of Saturn being in this very part of the sky. And I think that those lessons are still going to be there this month, but they're more internal. And so you need to give yourself that space to contemplate, to be internal, and to allow yourself to create that space to understand ultimately what it is that you do want to fill that space. And so you're learning a lot in love. That learning is going to continue. That learning is going to take on a different flavor next month, as Saturn leaves the romance part of the sky and Venus enters the relationship part of your sky. But for all that, there is going to be some activity, and there's also going to be the option to take it easy as well on the learning. It doesn't always have to be so intense, and romance doesn't always have to be so much of a priority. Sometimes you can focus on what you need to be strong inside and out. And from there, you're going to find that the type of love and the type of learning and love that you're really ready for, that is going to lead you towards greater love, will be that much more easier to grasp and to receive.